and welcome to Agriculture 101. I'm Haley, and when the music starts, we're going to grab a writing utensil, piece of paper, and with that, we're going to write down as many things that we can think of that are produced from North Carolina agriculture. So, writing utensil, paper, things from North Carolina agriculture. We're going to take about 1 minute to do this. Let's go. Let's look at some of our answers. For me, I put sweet potato pie, tortilla chips, t-shirts, Christmas trees, and watermelon. But the list goes on and on of things we use every day that we can thank North Carolina agriculture for. So what's the point? Well, let's jump right in. Abby and I are going to talk to you about, you guessed it, agriculture. Agriculture is North Carolina's #1 industry, and is definitely so important to us since it serves us constantly throughout our day. As FFA members, we're expected to know and appreciate agriculture, but do we all have as much knowledge on it as we should? By the end of this workshop, we'll be able to proudly answer yes to that question as we talk about North Carolina agricultural facts, processes, and issues.
Let's kick this off with some of my favorite facts to know. Agriculture facts. Before we get started, grab a piece of paper and a writing utensil. As we go through these facts, you're going to mark what you think the correct answer choice is. So mark T for true or F for false. Let's get started. Let's start our round of true or false. Number 1. 10% of the world's population is involved in agriculture. False. Actually, 40% of the world's population is involved in some sort of agricultural job or career. That's almost 2 billion people. Number 2. 30% of over 3 million farm operators are women. True. Women play a huge part in North Carolina and our country's agricultural field. Number 3. North Carolina grows 50 agricultural crops and commodities. False. North Carolina actually grows over 80 crops and commodities, including cotton, tobacco, soybeans, and many more. Number 4. In the United States, 800,000 acres are used for farming. False. It's actually 10 times that amount at 8 million acres. Can you even imagine that much land? That is crazy. Number 5. North Carolina leads the nation in sweet potato, egg and poultry production, and ranks in the top 3 for Christmas trees, pork, trout, and turkeys. True. North Carolina is home to these commodities and excels in production. Number 6. Farmers and ranchers account for 20% of the population. False. Farmers and ranchers only account for 2% of the population, which is why agriculture education and inspiring young farmers is so important. Lastly, number 7. A single farm can feed up to 166 people. True. One United States farm feeds 166 people annually in the United States and abroad. The global population is expected to increase by 2.2 billion by 2050. which means the world's farmers will have to grow about 70% more food than what is now produced. That's crazy. Alright everyone, I think that's enough ag facts for now. From knowledge about North Carolina's agriculture industry to the entire country's, we got it covered. Let's recap what we learned in a friendly quizzes competition. When the music starts, we're going to see a code on the screen. We're going to use that code when we visit QUIZZIZ.com, where we will enter the code and, of course, an appropriate first name. We will be directed to an interactive quiz to recap all of what we've learned. So copy the code, enter it into QUIZZIZ, and take the quiz. This should take about 5 minutes, but don't forget to come back when you're done. Good luck! we did amazing on that quiz. Now, to truly wrap up what we learned in the first section, let's utilize our phones, share our favorite agriculture fact on our Instagram or Instagram story, and make sure to tag NCFFA and hashtag NCFFA advocates. Pause the video here, share those ag facts, and return back when you're done.
I cannot wait to see what facts we posted. Now that we have recapped an interesting agricultural fact, let's talk about something so important to us, the food supply chain. To understand the challenges that farmers face, it's important to understand the entire food supply chain and the demands of the consumer. Before it gets to the supermarket shelves, our food passes through an extensive network of retailers, processors, and producers who are responsible for transforming agricultural raw materials into safe and nutritious food that we want to eat. This network is called the food supply chain, or production to consumption. The first component is the industry we all know and love, agriculture. Food starts in fields, greenhouses, and other places and is grown by American agriculturalists. Here on my diagram, you can see I drew the cornfield to symbolize agriculture and farming. The second component of the chain is industry. Industry enforces quality checks and food standards to ensure safety and food regulations are met. This is also where processing happens. On my diagram, I drew a truck and a factory building to symbolize industry. Lastly is distributors. This is where the food reaches the consumer. When you think of distributors, just think of grocery stores or supermarkets. Here, I drew a supermarket and a person buying the corn we've seen in the production component. Right here, I have my own production to consumption chain. But when we hear the music, we're going to take out a sheet of paper, a pen, and then draw the components of the production to consumption chain. And then we'll label them, so we'll have our own. So, we'll get our materials, draw and label, and then we're going to take about 5 minutes to do this. personal chains, let's think of some questions. What is important about this diagram, and where can we use this diagram? Whatever your answers, know that this diagram is so important in our lives, and it brings us to our final question. How can we use this diagram to bring awareness to agriculture? Knowing the processes of the production to consumption chain will help us to be more fluent and comfortable when speaking to those who may not know where our food comes from and the importance of agriculture. Now that we have learned the production to consumption chain, let's do a little reflecting. As the music starts again, we're going to go to the link shown on the screen here, and it will take us to a Padlet, where we'll answer an important question. On your own Padlet space, answer this. Which area of the production to consumption chain am I in? Let's take about 2 minutes to do this. Whether we answered production as a farmer or consumer as just a regular old person who loves food, our role in this chain is so important. Without farmers and processing workers, we would not have the regular access to food, and we would definitely struggle. And without consumers, production workers and processing workers would have no purpose. Thank you all for listening today. I hope you all understand just how important the production to consumption chain is.
One of my favorite aspects of the FFA is that we all have our own connection and ties to agriculture. Some of us may have grown up on a farm while others grew up in city limits and have never even seen a farm. However, FFA brings us all together to gain knowledge about one of the most important industries in the world. And just like everything else, the agriculture industry is continuously growing and evolving to accommodate our community needs. But it also faces new challenges and issues along the way. As young members of our community, it is our job to educate ourselves on these current issues facing agriculture and to support and be advocates for our farmers and other agricultural workers. With that being said, I have a challenge for us. Using the link on the screen, let's take some time to really dig in and analyze different emerging issues within agriculture. In a minute, we're going to pause the video, go to the American Farm Bureau website using the link, and find one or two issues facing the agriculture industry that just really stands out to us. But wait, there's one more thing. Find a scrap piece of paper, section it into 3 different parts. Summary of the issue, who it impacts, and how can it be solved. While reading about whatever issue or event you chose, brainstorm some answers to these questions, and then take some time after you finished reading to really reflect on those questions and your answers. Now, ready, set, go. Awesome job, y'all. Without realizing it, we have already begun to educate ourselves on some of the current and emerging issues within agriculture. As younger members of our community, we may not be able to exactly fix these large, impactful issues. However, we can educate ourselves and others on what's happening in the agriculture industry and how to support our farmers. Wow, that was a lot of information. Let's take some time to reflect on everything we have learned throughout this workshop with the help of my friend, Haylee.
Remember the question that I asked you all at the beginning of this workshop? It was, do we all have as much knowledge on agriculture as we should as FFA members? Abby and I hope that everyone can proudly answer yes to this question now. Now that we all learned some amazing agricultural facts, the production to consumption chain, and some critical agricultural issues, let's answer one last question. How will we take what we learned in this workshop and apply it in our local chapters and communities? In a moment, when we hear the music, we're all going to take out an index card or a small piece of paper, and we're going to answer a question. How can I use the agricultural facts, production to consumption chain, and the agricultural issues I learned today to make a difference in my community? Let's take about 3 minutes for independent reflection on this. Now that we're done answering that question, let's put that paper somewhere we can refer to it easily, whether that be our FFA jacket pockets or our backpacks. You can use this paper throughout your year to be reminded of the agricultural importance that you have. We can't thank you all enough for your time and participation in our workshop today. Abby and I cannot wait to see how much of an impact you all will make.